Well, hello, Perspectives on Social Ethics. Hope your day is going well. And I want to intro a video that you're about to watch for cultural and racial ethics for this week. It features Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright, and I want to provide a context for you so you can understand what you're about to watch. Let's go back 10 years. The year is 2008. The top two superhero movies at that time in the United States are Iron Man and The Dark Knight. iPhone Generation 3 has come out. Twitter is 2 years old. Hashtags don't really exist yet. George W. Bush is president of the United States. And Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are seeking the Democratic nomination for president of the United States. And of course, as with all presidential candidates, Mr. Obama is being vetted. And at some point, someone at ABC News finds out that Barack Obama goes to a church in Chicago where Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright used to be the pastor. And of course, with soon-to-be President Obama attending this church, someone decided to take a listen to some of the videos or the sermons that were being presented there. And they found out a lot of information. Jeremiah Wright's sermons were online, and he was quoted from some of those sermons. You can still find the videos on YouTube. He has one instance in where he says, "God bless America, no, God damn America, for killing innocent people and acting as though she is God, as though America is supreme." Following the September 11th attacks, Jeremiah Wright said that America's chickens had come home to roost. And so these, what we would call now Vine or Instagram videos that are about anywhere from 15 seconds to about 2 minutes long, that are snippets from the sermons, were taken out of those contexts, and then they were put on a loop on most of the major news networks, from ABC News to Fox News to MSNBC, CNN. They played them on a continual loop for a number of weeks. And of course, Jeremiah Wright's scrutiny and vilification in mainstream media just went viral. It was so pertinent in the country that at the time, Vice President Dick Cheney called Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright unpatriotic for the things that he was saying at that particular time. Dr. Wright's calling into ministry was questioned. And to be completely honest, and in the interest of full transparency, I know Dr. Jeremiah Wright. He's a friend of mine, or a mentor of mine, I should say. He has done the revival at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, for as long as I can remember. I was a part of Wheeler for a number of years. The person that was the pastor there married my parents. He christened me when I was a baby. He baptized me back in the 90s and gave me a scholarship for undergrad. And every year up until the time I came to undergrad in Austin, Texas, Dr. Wright came and did the revival there. So met him, know him. And so at the time when all this is going on, Dr. Wright is actually supposed to come back to Wheeler Avenue in 2008 to do a revival. And they had to rescind the invitation because there were bomb threats both for the church and death threats against Dr. Wright coming to Houston. And so this is like, it's blowing up everywhere. And in light of all of these things taking place, Barack Obama stands up in front of the country and he gives a speech which is called A More Perfect Union. And he really challenges particularly the white and black community to recognize that there are different perceptions of reality of what's happened in the country in terms of history and politics, and what does it mean for us to move forward. It's one of the most seminal messages that he's given. He talks to the American people as though they're adults, and most historians believe that that speech really was the turning point in his candidacy that switched a number of people from who were behind Hillary Clinton really for going for Barack Obama. And so, it was a prominent speech. Now, you're probably wondering at this time, who in the world is Jeremiah Wright? And even if this man is saying all types of things in his sermons, why in the world is this pertinent? Well, let's give a context for Jeremiah Wright in the video that you're about to watch. He was born in September in 1941 and raised outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You have to keep in mind, of course, segregation is going on at that time in the United States. He lived in a somewhat integrated community as he was growing up, but the schools, obviously, in the country were segregated. And so he witnessed a lot of the atrocities that we read about today in the history books. For example, Dr. Wright was 14 years old when Rosa Parks decided to not give away her seat to a white man on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. Jeremiah Wright was 20 years old when he enrolled in the Marine Corps. The following year, he's 21 when Medgar Evers is assassinated. He's 23 when Malcolm X is assassinated. And he's 26 when Dr. King is assassinated. I don't want us to run past that. Keep in mind that all of the prominent leaders in the civil rights era and in the African American community Most of them were either arrested or assassinated before Jeremiah Wright turns 30. And so that's going to shape his worldview. That's going to shape his theology. That's going to shape his ethics. That's going to shape his interpretation of both America and how God is at work in the nation. Dr. Wright holds a bachelor's degree. He holds 2 master's degrees, including a master's of divinity, and he has a doctorate of ministry. He served as the senior pastor for Trinity United Methodist Church, which is a traditionally predominantly white denomination, for over 30 years. And the congregation, when he started, was a little less than 100 people, and by the time he retired, some 3 decades later, it was the largest church within that denomination. While he's there, he preached a sermon called The Audacity to Hope. Barack Obama was a member at that time, and he heard the sermon, and he adapted it to The Audacity of Hope. And he took that title, and that adaptation from Jeremiah Wright's message was the title of Barack Obama's 2004 National Democratic Speech, which was his introduction to the world, and it's also the title of his second book. So you can see the overlap there in the ways in which Jeremiah Wright has had an impact on him. And so the video that you're about to watch was recorded some 6 weeks after Wright's scrutiny had begun and was continuing in mainstream media. Keep in mind, and what you'll witness is that Wright is highly intelligent. And with his strong and at times controversial statements, he remains a strong intellectual leader in the Black community. You're going to witness Wright giving a seminal speech that will include the historical, theological, ethical, social, and anthropological context of the African American church. Let me give a couple of disclaimers. If you are new to learning about cross-cultural experiences, I want to invite you to listen to Jeremiah Wright's message and learn. Jot down the names that he mentions and growing your own understanding of African American culture. If you're moderately experienced with cultural differences in America and you have some ministry experience, particularly ministry leadership experience, I want to invite you as you're listening to the message to place yourself in Jeremiah Wright's shoes. Keep in mind, he's giving a lecture after the Vice President of the United States has questioned his patriotism and after people have questioned his calling into ministry. Listen to the conviction of his words and the emotions that he attempts to contain as he balances both speaking truth to power and trying to defend himself. If you're a seasoned veteran in crossing cultures, if you will, then I want you to both listen to the message with everything that I've just mentioned to the 2 previous groups, but I also want to make sure, and this is an invitation for everyone, to listen to the video in its entirety. But again, if you're a cross-cultural veteran, make sure you stay and listen for the Q&A at the conclusion of Jeremiah Wright's lecture, because I want you to pay attention to the cross-cultural fails that follow this message. The moderator, who is a white female, is doing her best to honor white culture. Namely, she wants to maximize the efficiency of time and get in as many questions as possible. However, she omits the context of what's going on, and that context is predominantly African American one, which is a call and response culture, and time is not fixed; it is fluid. And so you will witness her frustrations as the crowd cheers. You will witness Jeremiah Wright's frustration. And so watch the 3 of them mix together in this epic cross-cultural fail that follows this amazing message. But I also want you to witness how both the moderator and Dr. Wright somehow have this epic cross-cultural fail and at the same time model how to get back on track in terms of a cross-cultural witness for people. So hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to reading your comments. Take care, everyone.